You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Welcome. Thank you for listening. This is the IT and the D Show. Made it all the way to episode 213. Thank you for clicking play. We have a great room of guests tonight.
We are almost a full 200 episodes past your original prediction.
That's 16.
I feel like that should be a party night.
Fine, whatever. We have a great...
Would it be... or should 217 be the party night?
Just stop talking. Daryl McCall is here. He is an author, filmmaker, podcaster. He is putting on the National Power Conference, podcast conference in...
Not Power.
No. Power Podcast Conference.
Well, yeah, but not the National Power Conference. Like, DTE is not going to be there.
They should be. They're down in Florida where they should be.
Right. Power and power accessories.
That's coming up the weekend of September 23rd. It should be a great conversation. We also have Robert and Tori in here from the Detroit School of Design and Technology. They're going to
Digital technology.
They will design digital design.
No, it's Detroit School for Digital Technology.
Just they're going to be talking about the school of and do us a favor. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Find your lunch money and donate it to your favorite charity of choice. We thought Houston was bad. Florida is going to be worse. So just do everybody down there a favor and, send your lunch money, and I'm sure everybody will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dave, you may throw when ready.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm Wyatt, that's Gary, you're Bob, and you're Dave. This is the IT and the D Show.
This is Max Headroom, and what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, IT in the D, it works every time.
Where do you guys think you are? The Library of Congress? Detroit? Beyond the sun? Any of those right?
Take him to Detroit. No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come! Shut up!
Hi, this is Christy Swanson, and you're listening to the IT in the D Show. And Bob and Dave touch my hoo-hoos.
So what happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bunghole?
Exactly.
Come on. Someone tries. What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the show.
This is Guilfoyle from Silicon Valley, and the only two guys I hate more than Dinesh are Bob and Dave. Suck it, guys.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to IT and the D Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the geek off.
Hi, this is Kelly LeBrock from Weird Science. So, Bob and Dave, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Are we at a break yet?
Hey, this is Zach McGowan from Planet Earth. You're listening to IT and the D Show.
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to IT and the D. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Hey, Detroit, this is Anthony Michael Hall. You're listening to my buddies Bob and Dave on IT in the D.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump Pump. The IT in the D Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
You're in your underwear, I'm in my underwear. Hey, let's hang out.
No, I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache.
I definitely want to see Bob in his underwear. That's a fact.
Hey, everybody. This is Tony Todd. What's happening? You may know me from Candyman, The Rock, Sushi Girls, Zoom, Night of the Living Dead. A lot of pop culture media madness. Anyway, you're listening to IT in the D Show. Business.
I'm totally into Dave, but not so much Bob.
This is Robert Hayes, the jet striker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo bar, I'm listening to the IT and the D Show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the IT and the D Show. Tough guys. Oh!
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Now buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
Welcome. Thank you for listening. You have reached the IT in the D show. This is episode 213, broadcasting live here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy. That is Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG is back from Burning Man and live to tell the tale. Randy, I do the Twitter's Walker, is in studio. Find us online, itinthed.com. Follow us at everywhere that's social and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
We're live.
Yeah.
Hi,
Spencer.
Hi, Mom. Before we get rolling, though, hey, support for today's show comes from Bluehost. Bluehost is a top-rated website provider that powers over 2 million websites. It has everything you need to build the website you've always wanted and gives you the freedom to design your website your way without being limited by templates. It's simple enough for beginners. As we always love to say, it's so easy a Bob can do it, and powerful enough even for the most advanced users. And with fully customizable templates and third-party app support, you get total flexibility and control. With a 99.9% uptime guarantee and automated updates, it's truly reliable and offers maximum security, including malware monitoring, protection, and automatic secure WordPress installs. Nice, Nuri.
Well.
Yeah, for those of you on the video, Nuri's playing to the camera. Not to mention, thanks to Bluehost 24/7 tech support, online resources, and expert services, you'll have all the help you need to succeed and save time. Bluehost is the best tool to build, host, and manage your website. No wonder it's been the top recommended WordPress host on WordPress.org since 2005. Now our listeners save 50% when you sign up at Bluehost.com/IT. That's Bluehost.com/IT.
And hey, do us a favor, mark your calendars. If you go to meetup.com/IT we are packed for the next few weeks. The 16th is Saturday. We're going to be at the Monroe Comic Con. We'll be podcasting. We got our friend Terry Bean's going to be next door with VR gear. Jimmy McKnight's going to be in the house podcasting next to us.
And all the usual suspects when we go to cons. I mean, you're going to have all the, some folks that have shows here on the network. You're going to have a lot of the folks that do, whether it's comics, graphic novels, whatever else. It's going to be a fun weekend.
You'll have the balloon guy, the guy who doesn't shower enough, the guy who doesn't groom. All the standard people you expect at a Comic-Con.
So the thousands of which you saw at Burning Man, but we'll get to that later.
Also true.
The 21st, Thursday, we're going to be at Falling Down Beer Company for a casual social. No cover, no speakers, no idiots, just good IT conversations and some great brew.
Yeah, I mean, because we talked about it, just with the change in the economy and kind of based on some of the feedback that we got, the message that we've gotten from people is, hey, so I've got a job and I'm kind of looking for my next job. And if I go to something called a pink slip party and my boss sees me, that's bad. But I can go to a networking event.
Exactly. I am networking.
So sort of like I can't go drink with Bob, but I can go to a networking event.
Right. The dawn.
Which is how this all started, actually.
How this all started.
Well, and don't forget next Wednesday. It's Wednesday. This Wednesday we'll be at Secure World.
We'll be at Secure World down in Dearborn. Just Wednesday. Yeah, that's the 16th.
Yep.
And then the 23rd, we got Daryl here in house.
No, Wednesday's the 13th.
The 13th, sorry.
Yeah.
And then the 23rd, this Saturday, we got Daryl here in studio to talk about it, but the National Podcast Power Conference down in Perrysburg, Ohio. We're one of the guest speakers, and should be a really fun time with a great group of people.
Well, I mean, it's us. We're going to go. We're going to drink. We're going to have fun.
So,
hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Do you have a Social Security number?
I thought I did.
Do I? Have you ever participated in the economy in any manner whatsoever?
Unfortunately, yes.
Then you, too, are probably a victim of the Equifax breach.
See, now let me dive right into this right now. This should be like the Godfather music for 20 minutes. Equifax is a company that no one knows what it is unless you can't get a car, and then they show you why.
It's not like you go and do business with Equifax.
You don't buy
right?
Equifax.
No, yeah.
There's 3 credit reporting agencies.
It's usually not It's usually because TransUnion is usually the harsher one. Like
there's Experian. Yeah, there's 3 agencies.
Yeah, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax.
you have a high-low number. So nope, we can't give you your house. Why? Your Equifax number's wrong.
Because 1 out of 3 said no.
So then you got to buy the report for whatever $30. Then you got to buy the to change things
and
for like $30.
You got to argue and dispute stuff, and
here's
big money, no whammies, and stop.
So here's where it gets interesting. The biggest breach in probably history
Of this magnitude, at least with the data, like MySpace was breached, Yahoo was breached, big effing.
Well, and lest we forget, it came to light, I believe it was last year we were talking about it, that it was Experian that was selling customers' information to third parties without anybody's knowledge because they appeared to have been legitimate vendors, but nobody checked the paperwork. And so, I mean, that could have been a breach, but that was actually just stupidity.
And the key to this whole thing was they're blaming an open source
Struts.
Yeah,
which like almost everybody uses.
Yeah,
like,
which anybody who does dev knows Struts. Yeah,
60% of Fortune 100 companies run it.
Yeah,
and those vulnerabilities were patched in March.
Yep.
Right. So this thing went down. They say May, was discovered in June.
Yep.
So they obviously don't patch every quarter.
But the curious factor is that 3 executives, a CFO, and 2 presidents of their individual business units sold a non-insignificant amount of Equifax stock 4 days after this was released internally, which is months before we found out about it. Now, they're trying to backpedal and say, well, you know, those 4 people wouldn't have had any knowledge of it. Really? Really? Your CFO wouldn't have gotten the notification
Dude, it
that
says
you've
right
been
here,
breached?
Dave, it says right here in TechCrunch, Equifax reports it discovered the leak on July 29th, and it took steps to stop it. It then hired a cybersecurity firm to determine the extent of the intrusion. Who signs off on that check to the cybersecurity firm? The CFO, right?
And in another statement, they said that they immediately identified their top executives, or they told their executives that this has happened, right? So it's kind of strange.
See, now here's the thing, like, TechCrunch is saying it's not the biggest breach numbers-wise that goes to Yahoo. The difference is this is your
because the 1900 hurricane is not the most strong hurricane.
Yeah, it was.
It's not. It was.
Totally killed the most people.
No, that's because they were all sitting out in their wagons with the campfires.
I know. What do you do about this, right? Because hacks happen to companies all the time.
No, here's the dumb thing. Equifax wants you now to buy their... You know, they tell you, to freeze your credit. That costs $10. Then it's telling you to buy their protection. So it's telling you, like, hey, we basically screwed your life up, and now you want to buy more product from us right now.
Right.
And then here's the kicker. The PIN that they issue, did you read this?
That was
It's the time and date stamp,
I won't even say it's the best part of the story, because is there really a best part? But...
It issues a time and date stamp that they've been doing this for like 15 years. So if you buy their service today and you get a PIN, it's going to be 2017 09 11 and then the time, whatever, 15 11 in the seconds.
You know, I'd almost argue how would that be hacked? Like, how would I know that you signed up at that exact time?
But regardless, that's the dumbest
It is
PIN
the
to issue
dumbest PIN
someone.
ever, right.
You have enough randomizer open source softwares out there where you could just say, give me an 11-digit code.
I do remember back in the day, there was a company that we figured out their quote-unquote encryption routine for credit card numbers was literally just +1.
Oh, no.
So, like, let's say if your first 4 numbers were 4, 5, 6, 7, it was 5, 6, 7, 8 in their database.
Well, that'll fail a ROT 16, won't it?
Yeah.
Who do we appreciate? Yeah,
right.
You.
Yeah, what's even worse, though, to me, though, is that if you go to their website and it says, check to see if I have been impacted by this hack, it's not even telling you the truth about whether or not you may be impacted.
Yeah, it's just returning random results.
You could fill in, like, Kermit the Frog, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is your social, and it may tell you that you're impacted.
You've probably been impacted.
But still, it's still super shitty.
Well, you look, 143 million people. How many people have credit? There's 300 million people in the country. How many are under 18?
So they just roll the dice and say, like, 2/3 and...
so, I mean, because quite a few people do. I mean, I do. I have our kids, and because like I have like credit monitoring services and all that stuff. I have the kids enrolled in it just in case somebody tries to steal their identity. I mean, that's like the biggest, one of the biggest scams that was going around for the longest time was that somebody would find, whether it was a hospital breach or something like that, they would find a kid's information and go ahead and latch onto that and use that because, well, you just fudge the birth date a little bit and and away you go. You have this clean credit record you can start playing with.
I think what's even more messed up to me is that there have been 30 lawsuits filed already for it. And a lot of that comes from some of the wording that was in their policy. So you sign up for credit monitoring, and it basically says, if you do this, you may waive the right to sue us.
You
in a
can't
class
sue,
action
right,
lawsuit.
right.
Which, that for me is the most screwed up thing ever. It's like, we obviously screwed this up, and we're going to help you fix it, but if by allowing us to fix it, you're not going
but they
to...
they did backstep on that. They did go through and clarify and say, no. That has nothing to do with this security breach incident.
After the New York Attorney General got on their case.
Right.
And did they clarify that language in their terms and conditions?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, all right.
Yes, I believe they called it out way more specifically.
But still, screwed up stuff. Anyway.
And there's nothing anybody can do about it. 'Cause it's not like it's not like I can stop shopping there.
No.
I'm
never shopping at Equifax again.
Right.
My credit score would appreciate it if they just, wiped the whole thing and started over.
For real, though.
Mr. Robot's starting to sound better and better, isn't it?
No kidding.
Anyway.
So, interesting one. So, obviously, the hurricanes, big news. I thought it interesting that Tesla went ahead and tweaked something that gave all their vehicles a little extra range for the people in the affected areas in order to help them try to get out.
Right? It was the 60Ds?
Yeah.
You read it and you're like, oh, thanks, Tesla. Then you're like, wait a minute.
Why wasn't that there to begin with?
Exactly.
You
when it did an over-the-air update.
So they sell you a 50 kilowatt-hour battery, but they actually put a 52 kilowatt-hour battery in the car. They're unlocking that extra.
It went from 60 to 70.
Yeah. So
Right.
But they sell you the 60.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure if you order a brand new Tesla today and you get a 60, you can actually, after you get it delivered, unlock that 70 for an additional $5,200, if I remember correctly.
What?
Yeah.
You only get one half of the battery until you pay us more.
So
what kind of crap is
I
that?
don't own the thing I buy again.
No. Right.
We're only going
to fill your tires.
What you pay for.
We're only going to fill your tires up halfway. But if you want to buy the extended full tire model, it's just $500.
We'll give you the extra 5 psi.
The extra air. That's so. And basically, you tried to be a good thing, and you just made it a really bad thing, Tesla.
For people that think it through, yes.
Right. I appreciate the extra half hour. Wait a minute. Why didn't you give me this before?
I owned the thing. Let me use the thing. So there were 2 Amazon stories. We always love talking Amazon. Amazon is apparently looking for a second headquarters location.
You know what?
Everybody's like, ooh, it should come to Detroit. Guess what? Then you should have voted for regional transit. Because that's one of the things they're going to look at, peeps. Ain't got none. Ain't gonna be none.
Here's the thing. This is so stupid. This is child psychology 101. It's like Timmy won 2 tickets to Disney World, but only gets to pick one of you in the class, and the whole class like, ooh, pick me, pick me. So now you got the whole country going,
and Canada
going, ooh, pick me.
I saw the most ridiculous article today out of my corporate headquarters is out of Bellevue, so my internet traffic comes out of Bellevue, and Bellevue is a suburb of Seattle. It is literally across the lake from Seattle. And the headline from the Bellevue paper today was, Bellevue property attorney says Amazon should pick Bellevue as its second headquarters. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I can see them from across the street.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're already there.
I can see Amazon from my house.
HQ1.
We're already there. But you see and it's cute that Detroit's trying to do it, and there's more than enough ample. They put it at City Airport,
but they're not. But they're
No.
not.
No,
But they're not.
It's going to go.
They're not gonna.
It's going to go to Boston or Austin. Let's all be real.
It's got to rhyme with Austin.
Yes, or Dawson.
Is there a?
I don't
is there
know.
A Schwaston?
It's going to go to Boston or Austin. It's
So
not
maybe
even going to be a.
If Detroit renamed to Detroston, could it have a chance?
Yes, it needs to rhyme. Austin, Massachusetts, or Boston, Texas. No, but that's where if you think about it, and it's got to be in a logistics hub in essence,
right? Well, I mean, Detroit has seaways, and the story Matty Maroon wants to turn the train station into a train station.
Whoa!
Because it's 1910.
Is it going to go 3.4 miles?
And train, yeah. No, yeah. So he wants to bring I don't know if you saw that story. He wants to bring the train station back as a train station.
Great.
To be a train station hub.
Great.
Super. That's what he wants.
Cool. And it's going to go where?
With new windows that everybody's excited about.
To the airport.
No, but I don't want new windows because it's not edgy when I take my selfies with the background.
Right, it's going to have the beaten up windows.
The prom backdrops just aren't going to look the same.
The slow roll selfies. And then the other story was that it came out that it's not just Alexa, but also Siri are vulnerable to basically hypersonic commands. Which let's see,
didn't we talk about this before?
The dolphin attack,
right? But no, didn't
which
we?
I think is amazing.
Oh no,
because the dolphin attack means something different to you and I. I mean, we've had that conversation.
This was wasn't it Facebook or Facebook Messenger or whatever had the mic on?
Yes.
Could hear inaudible sounds.
Exactly.
Right now it's coming out.
Hey, you're watching
this commercial.
No, I'm not.
Right.
Stop
saw all these
it.
commercials.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, here's the interesting thing with we can talk about the inaudible stuff in a little bit, but I went to Tim last week, Tim Detroit, Technology in Motion. It was all about the connected vehicle. And it's amazing how Amazon has basically staked their claim. They want to be the ubiquitous platform for the connected vehicle.
Of course they do.
And, you have Android and Apple, and they're getting half and half. And, there's not this common play, and they're positioning themselves to be the common play.
Yeah.
And just think the cars, when they're not driving you around, can drive around Amazon packages.
Oh,
be shipped.
Holy shit.
That's great.
Put your car to work when you're not driving it.
Yeah. Well, this isn't really the autonomous stuff, because I had a few arguments about the autonomous thing, kind of our classic argument.
Right.
But it's amazing. Like, do you remember Jake from Tome Software
from State Farm?
Yeah, he was there with had like this $20,000 Trek bike, and basically it like phoned home. It was for bicyclists that like were in danger, and like it cured like all GPS tracking. They could tell if something was wrong, and then it
Can you just buy a new bike for way less than $20,000?
No, not for that bike. That bike was sweet. But no, it was a great conference. But yeah, it's funny how Amazon's just they're not just happy shipping you stuff. They're not happy just owning the cloud. Now they have to own your car.
Of course they do.
Hey,
Bob, we can tell that you're a little buzzed driving home. You want us to have a drone bring you some Funyuns?
Yeah.
You want some Funyuns, Bob?
I want some Funyuns.
Line at White Castle's looking kind of long. Can we drop you over some sliders?
Right.
No.
I mean, so going back to our hacking, our friend Mr. Mike Brennan over at My Tech News had published a pretty scary article that CNET put out about basically there being it's all hearsay and you don't know if this stuff's true or not. But there's a huge Russian hacker campaign.
Well, they think it's Russian.
Right, but going after the grid.
Yeah, they're calling it, was it Dragonfly 2.0, if I recall correctly?
Yes.
And yeah, going after the U.S. power grid. I mean, it's, this should not be breaking news to anybody. I mean, we've had this conversation a million times.
Well, the ridiculous thing is, sorry to cut you off, the ridiculous thing is, not today, it was disguised as a phishing email as a New Year's Eve party invite.
Right.
So it's not like they're not hacking as you would think.
No, they're phishing.
Right. But like ridiculous.
Well, as opposed, then you kind of remember what we did to Iran, which is we just dropped USB drives all over the place with the Stuxnet virus and waited for one of the engineers to pick one up and put it in a computer.
Oh, sweet. This one's 32 GBs. Okay, cool.
I'll put this in my computer in this nuclear power plant. Oh.
They built the brick wall and then they put them in the mortar every 10 feet, hoping.
They took over 37 million hipster computers.
Right, exactly.
Until they got the one they were looking for.
I'm going to plug it in, man. It's going to be awesome. And then I want to talk about the hurricane real quick. One of the things that made me laugh, first I thought it was serious, then I knew they were just trolling. Have you noticed all like the fake events for the hurricane? Like we're going to put our arms together and protest and we're going to make it turn around. And there's another one that says we're going to shoot guns at the hurricane and make it stop.
No. Yeah. That was a thing.
That's not real.
They literally, the police department, like several police departments in Florida, literally had to issue like, I don't know if you want to call them announcements or warnings or whatever, because people were standing on the shoreline firing guns at the hurricane.
hurricane.
Well, and I'm sure it's because they were drunk. I mean, it's
it's a hurricane.
It's a hurricane.
No, I think somebody read the troll thing. You know what? Damn it, that just might work.
They even came up with a graphic of how to safely shoot into it to not get the bullet flying back at your face.
because they spin.
Because they
right. That's totally a thing.
Or like
what
everyone
about the
could take-
sharks?
Everyone take box fans and just aim it at the hurricane. Hopefully, if you get like 100,000 people,
And
box
just all
fans,
blow.
all that way, right?
I'm sure both of those were some events that I saw on Facebook.
Right. It worked on Bugs Bunny. I'm sure. Why can't it?
Can we go back to the dolphin attack thing real quick?
Absolutely.
This is really interesting. There's a special reason I'm coming back to this. So apparently these devices and anything that does speech recognition can pick up ultrasonic sounds at 20,000 hertz.
Yep.
So anyone who could basically take messages, record them, translate them to that hertz frequency, and then control your devices.
Yep.
Which is really interesting. And why I bring this up is that before the show, I recorded some really interesting things.
Nice.
And I've been playing them for the last half hour. So we'll see if the bandwidth and stuff is okay. And if your Google Home does anything weird, it's not my fault.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. If your Google Home starts playing Fat Bottom Girls at top decibel volume, you know it's nerd.
No, I ordered. I went to since I just got Comcast. I ordered the Russian TV, and I just have that playing all day while I'm not home.
Fat Bottom Girls
for the Alexa. To listen to my house.
I thought you would. Does that replace the Al Jazeera TV that you had running for a while? Or
I did not use Al Jazeera.
The one I thought was weird because we always talk about the creepy factor of Facebook and how they had that, hey, so-and-so is nearby. You should meet up for coffee for a while. And then that stopped being a thing finally. Now, apparently, they want you to date your friends.
See, I was reading through that. I don't get what they're trying to like. I never had these things pop up.
So it's
maybe because I have married on my Facebook.
So it's a thing where it says, "Hey, here's your friends that are out and about and active. Do you want to meet up with one of them?" And it knows like where you've checked in and those kind of things. So hey, do you want to meet up with this person? And then apparently, like it's almost like a date because this is where it becomes like a dating app. Like nothing happens until the other person says, "Yes, I'd like to meet up with you too."
Ew.
And then it starts like I don't know if you've noticed, like in Messenger, if you've sent anything with like a hey, let's get together tomorrow, or hey, we have to do this thing at 9 a.m. A little thing pops up that says start a plan.
Yeah.
And it'll add things into your calendar. It becomes a private event. It's really really.
Do you want to meet with Serena this week? Your response is private unless you both say yes. I've never had that.
I've never seen that before.
I've never did either. How bizarre is that?
I read something about.
So did you swipe right or
can we trust Facebook? And I'm like,
no.
Because again, if you don't pay for a service, you are the service. That's how that works.
They know more about us than our wives do, for crying out loud.
And let's keep it that way.
Right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Daryl McCullough from the National Podcast Power Conference. This is the IT and the D Show.
And we'll be right back.
Good call.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Schneider from Nip Tuck Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland, Secret Lives of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. It's the IT in the D show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back to segment 2, episode 213, the one and only IT and the D Show, broadcasting live here, Studio One, Podcast Detroit, in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. It's Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG, Randy, I do the Twitter's Walker, is in studio. Find us online, ITinthed.com, because we are IT and the D, and you keep nice.
You still aren't.
Nice
no matter
try.
what you do.
You're so cute, though.
It's adorable.
Nice try with that press release today. It's so cute. We love you.
Wah, wah.
So hey, diving right in, we are very, very lucky to be joined by Daryl McCullough. I want to read this because this is some impressive stuff. I don't think we're worthy. Daryl is a self-published author, screenwriter, award-winning independent filmmaker, the CEO of Perfectly Sane Productions, the founder of the National Podcast Power Conference, and the co-creator, host of the Full Circle podcast. What's going on, Daryl?
Hey, I'm honored to be here.
It's
to hang out with you guys and see how it's done.
I think you travel farther than anyone we know to our little podcaster meetups and to be on the show. But we appreciate spending time up in the D with us.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, we're in the RO.
Well, no, but
technically.
we can see Detroit from down the street, so it's okay.
Right. I mean,
you guys make it totally worth it, and I'm happy to be reunited with Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's like 1985 all over again.
And he's enjoying it.
I'm totally dropping in reunited.
It's like drinking Jägermeister, Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's like, what are you guys doing to me? But hey, the reason why you're out here, I guess first let's talk about how we got connected. We got connected through, I think, through your show originally, the Full Circle podcast. We kind of talked about what we do, and then we kept talking, and then we ended up being speakers at your little conference you're having up down in Ohio.
I gotta say, I've never met a podcaster that I do not like. That doesn't mean I like their show,
right?
But I still like them as a person. I
got a list I can share if you'd like.
Well, you guys are the coolest podcasters that I've met this year.
Right.
So it's
we are the
drive.
best tech podcast that records in Royal Oak between 9 and 11 p.m. on Monday nights.
We used to always say we were, when SoundCloud had us at the top tech show, we used to always say, we are the #1 technology podcast on SoundCloud this week.
Under
the technology segment,
So to have a New York Times bestseller in this, that niche. Yeah.
Well, it's baseball stats, He is the leading hitter on Thursday Night Baseball. And
within 20 miles of his grandfather's farm.
By switch hitting. Yeah, exactly. Under full moons. I guess talk to me real quick about what your podcast is, and let's dive into the conference.
Well, first off, I love podcasting. I got into this unwillingly, but now that I'm in it, I love it.
What started you doing it?
A friend, it's like a Seinfeld episode. He's like, our conversations, this needs to be recorded. I'm like, really? I mean,
where is that Family Guy drop? I swear to God, I have it somewhere.
Oh, the podcast.
Yeah, this right here, these conversations with observations that everyone has already made, this should be a podcast.
Right. But it's fun, and it's awesome because I meet great people like you guys. And I love podcasting so much that's how the conference was birthed. So our show, the Full Circle Podcast Show, we take things from a liberal, conservative, independent state of mind. And I don't look at myself as a conservative, but I'm thrown in that because of some of my standards or values or whatever. And we just talk about this from a round table perspective, and it's a great time. We've been podcasting for about 2 years, and we record out of Maumee, and it's a great group of people, and we have a lot of fun.
And that's really all it's supposed to be. Like I remember when Detroit Startup Week, did that podcasting panel, and there was a guy in the front row that he said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to start up my podcast. How do I monetize it?" I said, "If that's why you're starting a podcast, don't." And you'd have thought I'd have slapped him across the face. I'm like, dude, it's supposed to be fun. The running joke is, 1 out of every 2 Americans has listened to a podcast because 1 out of every 2 Americans has a podcast.
It's any hobby. I'm going to shoot pool. I'm going to start bowling. I'm going to play golf.
I'm going to do a podcast.
I'm getting into shooting pool so I can hustle some old timers at the pool.
Right.
Or I don't want to go and have fun with my friends. I want to win side bets after the men's league at bowling.
Right.
No. And that's the thing. That's the one thing that drives me nuts the most about podcasting is you read the forums all the time, and it drives me bananas. What's the cheapest host? I want to do it for free. It's like, what's the cheapest mic?
Hey, I want to golf, but I don't want to pay greens fees.
Yeah, I don't want to buy a driver. It's like someone lend me their dad's driver.
Yeah,
so I can. It's like if you're going to do a hobby. And if you want to, you don't have to get the best
or
stuff.
Do not. There is no try.
Well, you don't have to get the best stuff. Just you can start with starter gear, and then work your way up.
Podcast Detroit has reasonable fees.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
The guy that runs it's a jerk, though.
I agree with what you're saying. However, I think when you're over 35, it's just like being a rapper. There's a window, and it's over. Okay. Same thing with podcasting. To me, when I'm over 35, whatever I'm doing, I'm an independent filmmaker, things like that. Time is money, so it's got to get to a point where, why am I doing this?
No, see, I'll disagree with you there because, yes, I constantly evaluate from an ROI perspective the stuff that goes on in my life. Bob and I used to be heavily involved in this wrestling thing. I kind of had to pull back because there were too many other things going on, and that had the lowest ROI. This, to me, man, this is still the fastest 2 hours of my life every week, and it's fun. Like like I had
It's
fun.
therapy. It's therapy for you.
It's mic therapy. Man, I had fun when we had 4 listeners. I have fun now. I have fun if we go back to having 4 listeners. I'll still keep doing that. Like, dude, meatball. Worst meatball sandwich ever is we get 150, 200 listeners per episode, whatever the heck it is.
You know how many emails we got saying please come back?
Yeah. Oh, that was insane.
Yeah.
But like to me, like that's fun for me. Like it is mic therapy.
I agree. It is fun. It is fun. You know, you're not going to get a dispute out of me on that. I mean,
we always called it bowling night just so we could set our perspective straight. This is bowling night. Right. Yep. We know we're going to spend $30-$40 on lanes, $30-$40 on beer, $20 on pots or whatever, you know, pots.
On what?
Like, betting pots, gambling.
Like, have I missed a huge chunk of the show?
I saw Torian's eyes spark up there when I said that. Gambling pots. No, but that's the way we always envision it. And everyone's got their own reason for doing it too. So, I mean, again, that's something else we pride ourselves in saying is there are no rules, you know, whatever makes you happy.
Anybody who tells you there are rules is trying to sell you a book.
They got a coupon code for Libsyn or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, who's a sponsor for our podcast
nice segue.
Conference. But, I mean, I don't know. I never would have thought that, not that I'm an expert. You know, I look at you guys as the experts, but our show does okay for...
I'm cutting that off right there. We say it every time. Like, we're not ninjas. We're not gurus. We're not experts. We have literally just screwed up every way you can possibly screw up, but only once.
But the good thing about the screw up is you learn from that, and you can tell other people about that if they're willing to listen.
If they listen, that's always the catch.
You know, so many people get into podcasting. I got 4,000 Facebook friends. I'm cute, so I'm going to get all these downloads. You know, and after what's the median for podcasting? What, 11 episodes?
Yeah,
and they kind of back out. Because it's a little more involved in that.
That's what we found. Usually, it's if somebody makes it past 10, they're gonna go for a while. That's usually the kill zone.
Wow.
Because I mean, we've got 90 odd shows that run out of here, and in the grand scheme, like we haven't really lost many shows that that we didn't want to lose, but. It happens.
What do you think that is? People just give up and they get bored and say, I'm done after 10? Or
That's pod fading, they call it.
Yeah.
Pod fading.
It's burnout.
The restaurant industry has, like, they say 90 days to make a restaurant because that's when Cisco puts you on cash only for your invoices. So there's not something like that with podcasting, though. It's just they're bored.
Well, or they like that's usually because I mean, like, so for a weekly format, you know, that's 2.5 months in. You know, that's when you're going to figure out, is it something you're really still enjoying? Is it really still something? You know, I had a conversation with somebody who's firing up a show here next week, earlier tonight, and it was that same thing. I said, like us, you know, I said we're doing episode 213 tonight. I still can't go back and listen to our first 10 episodes because that first 10 episodes were when we were trying to figure out what we were going to be. You know, was it going to be the geek versus the sales guy? Was it going to be a hardcore tech show? Was it going to be, you know, Bob using this voice all night? No, you know, and the answer to all of those is no. You know, but when we finally found our groove around episodes 9 and 10, and that's when we settled in, and it was like, all right, yeah, this is fun.
Well, that's I was on Daryl's show talking about pod fading.
Yep,
and the perfect example is Jimmy McKnight, and he had a Power Rangers podcast. And, you know, how much can you possibly talk about Power Rangers? And he shifted to calling it Arc Junkies. He's a welder by profession.
Well, no. So he shifted. Yes, he shifted. So he took Ninja Starship and shifted it to be more than just Power Rangers because he figured he needed to try to expand and broaden his base.
Right.
And then he just started getting blowback from his core, and he started losing listeners because people weren't like he didn't attract with the new, he lost with the new. And so, yeah, he set that by the wayside and now has started up something else.
Right. Wow. So we got the conference coming up September 23rd.
Yep.
What can anyone expect by attending the show?
They will see Bob and I drunk. That's what they
wow.
Not during the day.
You guys, again, you're the coolest podcasters that I've met this year, and you're also the best drinkers, you know, the best entertainers. The thing about the conference is once I found out what the national average was for downloads, and I looked at our numbers and I was like, okay, we're triple that. That doesn't mean that we're big time, but it means that maybe we have something. And if we do have something, I would love to share some of these steps with other podcasters, new podcasters. So I met a lot of cool podcasters. I was actually going to go to Podcast Detroit, which is a word that I don't use around the house. But based on the $350 price tag, I was like, with all the cool podcasters that I know, why can't we have something like that in Ohio?
No, that's not Podcast Detroit doesn't have a $350 price tag. You mean
Podcast Movement?
Oh yeah, Podcast Movement. Yeah.
I said, I'm sorry.
I was like,
can that be edited out?
I was like, wait, are we not?
No.
Wait,
Podcast
did I miss a
Movement has a
check?
price tag for their conference of $350.
You almost made me have a movement there with that.
Dave, where are you hiding the money?
Right. Yeah. But I said, well, maybe we can do something for a third of the cost for podcasters that are willing to invest in themselves. So we have, as a keynote speaker, Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting. We have you gentlemen. We have a lot of, we got a sneaker box guy. A lot of people are crazy about their sneakers. I don't get it. I'm a K-Swiss kind of guy, but whatever, from different perspectives. And it's going to be, we have a concert after the conference. We got Calvin Moore, who's out of here.
Yeah.
We have a very diverse audience of podcasters to educate and help up-and-coming podcasters as well as entrepreneurs that are willing to want to know how to market and brand themselves.
And that's where we are talking about the next shift in this is, and I'm having a lot of conversations right now with, if you are a brand, podcasting is almost as important right now as a social profile. Whether or not if you want to attract customers, if you want to talk to your vendor space, if you want to talk to your internal employees, it is the easiest way to get your message out because listen to this in the car on the way to work during rush hour. Listen to this when you're jogging. Listen to this as you're driving home. You have a week to listen to this. Is it a very easy to consume format?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we do. We have a business client here that has replaced their mandatory Friday morning, 8 a.m., 2-hour sales call or WebEx with a 20-minute podcast that they come in and record. And they put it out, and people have to listen to it by Monday, and we can give them the metrics on because they have it set up so you can log in and you have to grab it and yada yada. Yeah, I mean it's so much easier. I will take 20 minutes when I'm driving to the grocery store on Sunday or heading downtown to go to a Lions game or whatever, as opposed to hopping on a call Friday morning at 8 a.m. for 2 hours, wondering whether or not Bob's wearing pants on his camera.
I'm going to be honest. I have satellite radio and all that stuff. And when I got into podcasting, I don't listen to those things anymore. Every day when I get in my car for my hour drive to work, I'm listening to someone's podcast. So there's new music when I get on Pandora, and I'm like, whoa, when did this come out? My wife's like, 2 years ago. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't even listen to music anymore because I'm listening to podcasts.
I'm still listening to the music from the 80s and 90s, so that's why
nothing after 92.
I heard Eddie Rabbit in here, so yeah, I get it.
I went on a date with someone new the other night, and she asked me, she's like, so you're on a podcast, but do you listen to podcasts? I'm like, no, actually, I don't. Is that weird? Do you guys listen to podcasts?
No, I don't.
How else are you going to become better?
I don't care. I'm me. So I don't think any of us really care.
I don't.
I do.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
yeah.
You're like Prince. You don't listen to nobody but yourself.
I don't. Yeah. I'll usually listen to the first segment of our show every week, and that's
So you seriously don't listen to? Really?
Yeah.
So you've never listened to the Full Circle podcast show?
No.
And we're friends.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Actually, we got 90 shows here, and I've listened to maybe 5 of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So no, it's just everybody's got their own,
All right, so I have an open spot for a co-host at the National Podcast Power Conference next weekend. If you want to come down, because apparently Bob's going to be disinvited.
Well, no, he's not. No, you guys. I mean, I've told you before. I mean, you guys have really. You're a really great group of people that I've met with you and because of you. So I mean the conference wouldn't be a success without you.
Dude, we are really, really proud of what our podcaster meetups are. I mean, it's really, really weird because it's not just. To me, the best part of those things is that it's not just people on our network. In fact, 9 times, like we've done 5 so far, and with the exception of the first one, every single time people not on our network have vastly outnumbered people on our network.
Well, the thing is, I already record out of a studio in Maumee, so I already have a home.
Yep.
But yet, and still, I still want to hang out with you guys, because I learn things, and I get to meet, like I say, podcasters are the coolest people.
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
See, now with me, I can't, too many podcasts to me follow the NPR format. Like, hello, and thank you for listening to Bob and Dave presents Ice-T and the D.
Ice-T and the D. That's awesome, yeah.
Today we're
Jack don't listen to any other podcast shows.
Today we're talking about
there are no rules to podcast.
Right. But that's what drives me away from it.
Can we start Ice-T and the D? Can that be a thing?
Iced tea and then a little stand downtown. We'll have a little.
Today we're talking Lipton, and which is better,
sun tea versus sun brewed versus cold brewed.
No, open a stand downtown right next to Chickpea in the D. Have iced tea in the D.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
We've been doing this 5 years. So it's ours. We don't. It's not really ours because there was 106.7, the D. There was a few others.
But yeah, now everything is in
right
the D.
in the D. Right.
Yeah, gotta love that.
Awesome. You've been doing this for 5 years?
Our show
June
for
of 2013.
Yeah.
And you're up to 200 and what?
13.
And see, those are things that, why I'm glad that you gentlemen are part of the conference, is that these are things that you share with up-and-coming podcasters, because the gentleman who told me to do the show, who forced me to do the podcast, he quit after 11 episodes. How do you keep a team together? So these are things that I would love to talk to up-and-coming podcasters about.
Yeah, I mean, we have some strange. We have ones where it's 3 buddies, and we have podcasts where it's like him and someone from Atlanta calling in on Skype, and that's their co-host.
Yeah,
which to me is bizarre because there's no hanging out.
Well, and I mean, we did. I mean, we had a different third when we started. Just from how it was, and when things got. When things were ramping up, and this is part of how the evolution of growth and things. When things started ramping up with this, when we were building out our first studio and that kind of things, we all sat down and had a chat about, hey, this is where we see things going over the course of the next year, and he opted out because he didn't want to throw that much more time into it, and that's cool. It's fine. He's doing a lot more with his kids, and that's actually how we wound up basically drafting Nuri at PenguinCon. I mean it happens,
right,
and it's,
right.
But at the end of the day, it's Bob and I both have a passion about the IT industry here in this area. That's why the networking group exists.
It's our livelihood. It's our lifeblood. It's how we feed our family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more to it. So yeah, I'm passionate about it.
So I mean, it's and honestly, that's the biggest thing is I don't care what you're doing a podcast about. If you're not truly passionate about the topic, you're going to have pod fade.
And we have two.
You absolutely will.
And we have 2, one about technology and one about making fun of people, which I think is our 2 biggest passions.
Wow. But I appreciate that heartfelt story, and I think that people need to hear that so that they know what they're getting into.
No, they should, because I mean it's and that's like I said, I shot you the link to the podcasting 101 thing that we that we've kind of thrown together, and it is. I mean it's there's a lot of stuff that people don't think about. I mean probably our biggest area of growth, as far as new clients coming into Podcast Detroit over the course of this year, has been people that have been recording out of their house. They started a podcast, they were doing their thing, and then they've come to a fork where they're ready for one of 2 things to happen. Either they want it to start sounding better,
right,
and so they want to get out of their living room,
sound and content,
or they're ready to start having guests in, and they don't want their guests in their living room, so they want a neutral, holy ground Highlander, kind of place to have guests come in.
Wow, and the thing about Podcast Detroit, when I agreed to do this, I said, look, I'm not going to get into this if the sound is crappy. Because people will judge you automatically. You got 3 seconds to impress me. The sound is, I don't want to say this name, but if it's a blog talk radio kind of thing from back in the day,
right? It's not. Dude, there's people that still use it, and you can tell. It's a thing.
Why not pay, get the best sound, and then hopefully you'll listen to the show.
Because, I mean, like that debate comes up in, Facebook groups all the time. It's like, well, sound quality really doesn't matter as much as content. No, dude, you can have the best content in the world, but if you're way back like this and you can totally tell.
Watch the Packers and the Patriots on an old CRT monitor with a click channel. Don't tell me that quality doesn't matter.
Right. Or what if you're in a shitty room with no acoustic treatment?
That
Basically,
too.
everything echoes. I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours and listen to you.
I call those the toilet shows.
The toilet.
They record like like when you have a phone call on the toilet. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. But so how do we? Tickets are still available.
Yes, we have tickets are still available at nationalpodcastpower.com. You can check out IT and the D because all that information is on their site. You can check me out, Daryl McCullough, DARRYL McCullough, MCCULLOUGH. I post about it a lot. So National Podcast Power Conference in Perrysburg, Ohio, September 23rd. It's going to be a good time.
A lot of P's, like National Power Podcast Conference, Perrysburg.
He's testing out our pop fingers.
Yeah.
Worked out. No, Daryl, we appreciate the time, and we're really genuinely looking forward to hanging out with you. And
so I think the important question is there already an after party planned, or should we just wing it?
Well, okay, I'm going to go back because I'm over 40, but my memory serves me well. I do remember you saying, "Look, when we started this, you was like, if a party is not started, we will put one together."
Oh, no, it'll happen.
That's still
okay.
The last time there wasn't a party, we got the guy with the megaphone to announce where the party was.
Well, I'm looking forward to this after party. I will be staying at the hotel that night.
Oh yeah, us too.
Okay. Well, awesome. We got discounted rates from $170 room to maybe $140. So
yeah.
Perfect. Well, Daryl, appreciate the time. NationalPodcastPower.com, correct?
NationalPodcastPower.com.
Awesome. Appreciate the time spent. Definitely look forward to hanging out with you on September 23rd. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Robert and Turian from the Detroit School of Digital Technology. This is the IT and the D Show.
And we'll be right back.
And Hypersonic Command.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back. This is segment 3, episode 213 of the one and only IT in the D Show, broadcasting live
imitated,
here.
never duplicated.
Often imitated. Broadcasting live here in Studio One, Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy. Hanging out with that is Dave the Geek. Nuri the F&G is back from Fireman. Burning Man, I think we're going to have...
Not Fire Island. No,
I'm talking about the guy that lit himself on fire. I think let's do segment 4. I want to talk Burning Man because I think it's
okay.
We'll come back to that.
If
you're up for it, Nuri.
Sure.
Randy, I do the Twitter's Walker, is keeping the Twitter sphere full. And shout out to Ian for helping out as well. Find us online, ITinthed.com.
All the things.
Exactly. So, hey, we are joined we are lucky enough to be joined by Robert and Torian from the Detroit School of Digital Technology. Welcome, gentlemen. How you do?
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, I guess, Dave, you've been
yes. I mean, that's where we met you guys. I mean, so obviously, everybody knows now that we've got our new studio opened up in DSDT, and that's how we all kind of hooked up. And it's I mean, it's been fun so far. We just had Bustin' in Detroit launch down there,
right?
Which is cool. So they're running on Wednesdays out of there. So we've got a
podcast about bras. I mean, it should be video. Is there
First
video?
Of all, that's like the greatest podcast ever in the world. Okay?
Well, especially we do have the green screen down there, and
right?
They want to use the location for photo shoots. And
as they
video.
should, as they should.
I don't know if it's the best to listen to, but for me to be at the building,
I'm not going to lie. Their first episode was pretty freaking hilarious. She does a really great job of just talking about life in general and running a business and getting different viewpoints and opinions on things. It's worth, and it's not called Busted in Detroit. It's, I believe, Bras, Bitches, and Balls.
I like it. I like it.
So going back to DSDT, I think it's a cool story as to where you guys are actually physically located.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to me how you found that place and what it was?
So Jamie Kofi is the founder of DSDT, and DSDT is actually located in Southwest Detroit. off of Verner and 21st Street. All right. And if you know anything about Southwest Detroit, Verner and 21st Street right there is the old 3rd Precinct, right? And I've visited this place more than I'd like to say I visited it before it was a school, right? So I've spent a few nights in there. And it is the old 3rd Precinct, and we basically took a place of incarceration and turned it into a place of education, right? So Jamie, what she did was really unique. When people come in, first thing they want to see in the building is the jail cells.
Well, but so that's the interesting. So to me, like you walk in and the lobby looks like you're walking into like a 5-star hotel. Like,
yeah, it does.
It's
right?
friggin' phenomenal. Yeah. And then you're like, walk this way.
Right. And you know what? The funny thing about that is a tour always starts in a jail cell, though. I don't care who gives you the tour.
Yep.
You come into this beautiful atrium and everybody's, oh, this is so cool. Let me show you the jail cells. Right. Come on back this way. Right? But it's so cool that they took the beds of the jail cells and they lifted them up and they made them workstations, right? So basically what it is for our students who come to school and they study film, they study digital technology, they study
the
coding.
Career Academy program through IT and the D.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, who knows? They may be studying podcasting, you know, right? So, I mean, they come in, they study stuff, but when it's time to go home and actually do some studying and work on some stuff, being able to shoot film or edit film and do stuff like that, it consists of a constant work, right? You got to get better and better. You got to learn the tricks. You got to learn what works, what doesn't work, what your style is, and all that different type of stuff. So you can't just do it in a classroom for like 4 hours and go home and then come back and do it 4 hours 2 days later. This is something that you want to work on constantly, right? And the population that we deal with, we realize that they don't have access to these programs or these or whatever it may be, like Photoshop, Adobe,
or even just computers,
or the internet,
basic internet.
Yeah, basic internet. Like, I mean, the struggle is real, right? So, I mean, in order to keep those students engaged and keep them moving forward, what Jamie did with the jail cells is turn them into study stations. So you basically got your own pod with your own light source. You got a Mac 4K computer with every program that we teach at the school. So that way, if you come in and you have to do some work and it's after school or whenever it is, we'll stay there late so you can sit there and just get your study on. Right. And we even have people who come in and work on their own side projects and able to use some of our editing suites and also use our DaVinci suite, which is a color process. So, I mean, like, for me, being a graduate of Spec Howard's, being a graduate of some other film schools, which I won't name in Arizona that don't exist anymore, that luckily I got my associate's degree before they closed. You know, being a graduate of some of those schools and going out into the field and talking to people, and they're like, you walk into somebody's office and say, hey, you know, I just spent 3.5 years of my life studying this and I want to do this. And they're like, so what you got? And you're like, well, you know, I did some stuff in school. And so do you have any experience? You ever worked with anybody? Well, no, I haven't had an opportunity to work with anybody. I've been in school the whole damn time. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh, well, come back when you get some experience. What the hell? What do I get?
Got to have experience to get a job, but you got to get a job to get experience.
Exactly. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, you know, you study chasing this thing, right? So it's like, at DSDT, one of our core values is practicality, right? Being able to actually put your hands on the camera, being able to actually go out and work with a Motor City Match person or some startup business or something like that and help them and create some type of social media or create some type of a film or something they can use in their marketing and advertising.
And now you're coming out with a small portfolio.
Exactly. You're coming out with a small portfolio, and not only are you coming out with a small portfolio like you would at school, like, oh yeah, I did this dope, you know, video that don't mean anything, but I actually helped the business grow. Right?
A business that they actually know.
Exactly. Right.
In the city.
Right, right. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know Rob, but Rob is like the branding king of Detroit. Right. So like you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm shooting it out there for you, dog. But it's like, you know, to have people who are in the industry who are actually doing it right now, you know, and not just putting it on a commercial saying we got people in the industry that are actually doing it right now and come on in and spend $18,000. Right. But to actually have people who are in the industry who are actually making a difference right now, like Rob works with the city and like all different types of companies and stuff, branding. So to sit around people who have that wealth of knowledge and being able to actually go out and put some practicality to it and like actually get some work done with that, it's like a whole nother door that's opening up for you. You know what I'm saying? Because now when you walk into that job, it's like, so what do you got? Oh, well, I work for this company. I work for this company. Well, oh, cool. Well, this internships, we don't pay you, but we like to get you started. Oh, well, I already got clients. So if you're not paying, I'm looking for a paying job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it puts you in a position of power almost, you know? I guess.
Yeah, just do it for free, and then you'll get exposure. And then
Right. You know what? We're not in the business of starving artists. So, you know, I would never starve for artists.
Right, you can't pay a mortgage with exposure.
No, you can't pay a mortgage with exposure.
Well, no, and that's one of the things we really liked about it. I mean, and that's honestly one of the reasons why we kind of, you know, settled on, you know, using DSDT for our new studio is, you know, it is a nationally accredited facility. It is a CompTIA certified facility. So, you know, the stuff that we've been doing with Career Academy, you know, online purely for the longest time, now having a location where we can, you know, do something with meetups and have people go for training and have people go for the testing, more importantly, with all the stuff we have going on with MEDC in the state is perfect. I mean, it's, you know, the little intersection of life just basically said, yeah, be there.
Right. You know what? The crazy thing about that, you know, I work for a lot of nonprofit organizations in the city of Detroit, right? And I've been a part of a lot of nonprofit organizations. And in my professional career after college and stuff, I've like every job I've had working with nonprofit, it's been like, all right, so put this suit and tie on, and I'm going to send you on Houston Whittier and Chalmers, and I want you to recruit some kids for this program, right? Now I pull up in this black car, you know what I'm saying, in a suit and tie, and I jump out on these kids sitting at a corner on
They just
Houston.
all confused.
Right, they confused. They like, and I walk up I'm like, hey, what's up, man? You want to go to school? It's like, dude, you like a cop, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, and
you're like the nerdy Nino Brown,
right? Exactly, right. So when I met Jamie, I remember walking into school, like my first day at work. I walked in, and she goes, dude, that's a really nice suit. I said, thanks. She said, what the hell are you wearing it here for? And I'm like, well, I'm the outreach director, right? Like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing here. She says, how are you going to reach out to people if you don't look like them? Like, how are you going to reach somebody on their level when you come in from you have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And then let's meet them where they are, and let's help them go to where they need to be.
You could be a little bit up, but not too much up.
Exactly, right.
Yeah,
When I show up, like today, this is like the most dressed up I've been in a while at DSDT with the suit jacket, you know, and the collar shirt and whatever. But usually I'm like hoodie and a T-shirt or, you know, like some DSDT logoed out or something, or even some comic stuff, you know. I'm a Marvel guy, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming in with the Iron Man shirt or whatever, you know. But
just got through the Defenders. That is, it took 3-4 episodes, man, but that got good.
Oh my God, the Defenders?
Yeah,
that is like so. I went through all of the different little episodes to go through to get to the Defenders, the Iron Fist, and all of that.
Right,
and I'm like, so I never.
Okay,
really...
now see, I haven't started the Defenders yet. Do I need to watch all those before I?
No, well,
no.
You should watch Iron Fist.
I would say watch
Daredevil.
Iron Fist.
Don't watch Daredevil.
Yeah,
and Luke Cage.
You know,
Right, cool.
Yeah,
Luke Cage
Jessica Jones is kind of like it is what it is. Like whatever. She's like a strong like whatever.
Is that not Ally McBeal 2.0? I misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, when they get together, it's pretty cool, right? So, like, I mean, but like Iron Fist was cool. Daredevil, of course, was cool. And when they all came
Daredevil's
together,
great.
Yeah,
from how they took that crap Ben Affleck movie and made it into what it is.
Oh man,
so good.
First of all, like, I mean, I don't. Daredevil or any of those guys are cool, whatever. But like my number one guy is Iron Man, because to me it makes sense. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense for some kid to fly from Krypton and like land on Earth
it's
in
Batman.
a farm.
You have a lot of money, you can be a superhero,
right? But Batman's got daddy issues, and I'm not really feeling the Batman thing. You know
I
what
got
I'm saying?
more mommy issues, Martha.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like in the
Why
Bat.
did you say that name?
And then what? Like,
Thank God, Martha.
right? But, and there was even
Talks like
I'm
that.
sorry, we just broke your cameraman. Sorry.
Right. I like what's even more funny about that is like you change your voice slightly. I'm Batman. It's like, all
Well,
right,
dude, it's
Bruce,
it's Superman. I'm Clark Kent.
right? Like the curl,
I'm Superman.
Well, he drops the
Clark
curl
Kent.
too. No, I'm Clark Kent. I'm Superman. Right.
No one recognizes me.
He jumps in the phone booth, comes out, Superman. Like nobody's standing by the phone booth who says,
Why is that white man getting naked?
Why
in
is
the
that
phone
white
booth?
man getting naked in the phone booth? And then when he came out, like he didn't do nothing but take his hair and take his glasses off and drop a curl. And
See, now, here's my problem though with the Defenders.
What?
It's okay. Here comes the Avengers, and then, there's word that the Justice League's coming out. Oh, we're gonna do this. Now here comes the Defenders. Like it's like a Me Too thing.
It's marketing though. It's
No,
like
I know.
It's just like. I mean, you got your different sides of the spectrum, right? You got your DC and then you got your Marvel, But to me, I just thought that Iron Man made more sense as a kid. Like as a kid growing up, not a lot of action heroes look like me. I'm a black male. Like a lot of these guys didn't look like me, but. When I want to look at something that makes sense.
Because he had a mask on?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude's in an iron suit, like, and it's like he never said, I don't know who Iron Man is. He's an amazing, like, he never, like, plays that role. He's always like, I'm Iron Man. I'm rich. I got, I got money. I love women. This is what I do.
My biggest disappointment is Justice League wasn't Super Friends. I'm so angry that they didn't have the Wonder Twins and Apache Chief and Solomon Grundy.
Oh, wait, no, that was the Herculoids.
No, no, like Solomon Grundy's the Mitzelplex, the bad guy.
Meanwhile, at the
Those
Legion
are
of
the best.
Doom.
Right, exactly. That's what I wanted.
But you know what? I am excited to see and it's weird.
Apache Chief.
That's what I just said.
Right. But see, I'm excited to see Aquaman. And Aquaman was never my favorite. I was like, that's stupid. Like, he's like, he talks to fish. Okay, whatever. Great. Yeah, that's cool.
That's what I said. If he's not riding on a purple seahorse, I'm rioting.
I'm rioting. Like, so, but when you see the previews and you see what Aquaman looks like, it's like, oh shit. They really got it right this time. Like, he comes out like Poseidon, like,
hey, I thought Wonder Woman was pretty
It was
dope.
great.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was dope. I mean, come on now, Amazonian woman like that, like a whole island.
They did a
full
good.
of them,
They knocked that one out of the park.
They did
a great
I
job.
think that the new people who are making these movies are like actually doing their research and like actually like putting some thought to it.
Well, Wonder Woman when we were kids was hokey as hell. It really was.
Hey, do not diss Linda Carter.
It was hokey as hell.
Well, did anyone know her story though? Like I didn't really know.
Yeah, I never knew.
No, I thought he was just like a detective. No, for real. Like when you were a kid, you just thought she was like just some badass chick and
right.
With a rope.
spun around and changed her clothes by spinning in a circle. And,
I said I was going to be quiet during your segment. I didn't know you were going to talk about comic books.
Man, please
This is
jump
my
in,
thing.
dude.
But what you said, I disagree with you. Because Spider-Man: Homecoming was terrible to me.
Are you serious?
Because it's like everybody's on this diversity kick because of Barack Obama.
Oh my God!
But I'm like, seriously, this is what Spider-Man's going to be, really?
Yeah.
Can we just stop
Too
making him
politically correct.
younger?
Right,
Like, that's my
okay,
thing.
yeah,
how is
yeah.
Aunt May suddenly effing hot as hell?
First of all,
May?
I like that. I like that. Aunt
Okay,
May
yeah,
was
but
hot.
so the next reboot, it's going to be him in what,
8.
kindergarten?
Yeah.
Like, I hope they don't reboot it again. I hope this is it. Like, come on,
Oh,
man.
so
like,
you're telling me
they're gonna
Fantastic
reboot
Four,
it.
where they took Johnny Torch and made him black? That
First
was
of
the
all,
cool thing.
Fantastic Four was horrible. Period. Like
Both of them were horrible.
Yeah, I didn't
Those
like
are the
any of the
Four.
Fantastic Four. That was just like
Then they think that we're so. They take advantage of us. They took Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four and made
Right.
him Captain America. They
Yeah.
took. I mean, the way that they move these people around, it's like seriously, don't
Ben
ever mess
Affleck,
with a nerd.
Crappy
Don't ever mess with a
Daredevil,
nerd.
and turned him into Batfleck.
yeah, that was horrible. In front of
Green Lantern
Green
is.
Lantern,
Wait,
absolutely.
wait.
No, then the stupidest part.
Deadpool.
You got.
I love that though.
I don't love that. That's
I love
the same
that
dude.
I know, but
from
I
the
love
other
that
one.
he
But you know
pokes
what?
fun
But I
at
love the
himself.
fact that they referenced it.
Yeah,
I love the
they
fact
had
that
to.
I love that.
And I love the fact that they
I'm gonna-
reference Wolverine.
I'm going to say something
and
that's
like,
going to piss some people off in the studio. I don't like Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh,
Stop putting him in every single movie.
I was about to say something, but I want you to have to do an edit. I was about to do a Samuel Jackson.
I'm sick of this MF and Samuel Jackson. These MF and movies.
I'm about to say, MF, are you serious? Like, I just wanted to hit him with a Sam. I'm like,
See,
come
no,
on,
no,
man.
Wonder Woman. Like you couldn't cast anyone but the new Captain James T. Kirk. You couldn't cast anyone, but but him for that role. Like you have a plethora of people. You have new and old and young, and you're not going to see Wonder Woman because of that character.
Well, no, I think, honestly, there's a lot of people that do that dumb. Like, so HBO, what was it, the year after The Sopranos ended, they had Edie Falco, the wife from The Sopranos, and the priest from The Sopranos that she had an affair with, starring together in Nurse Jackie. You can't do that.
Well, you know what?
Can't.
You know what? I think that Hollywood and big time movie studios have run out of ideas, and they've run out of people to play these parts, and they've run out of they just run out of original thought. Issues. Yeah, and then they run out of budget issues. Like, so for instance, right? I mean, we're on the show today. So since we're here today, I'd like to announce officially, right? My friend Robert Courtney and I launching on Podcast Detroit in the D. Okay, well, we're taking people from opposite sides of the spectrum and putting them together and trying to find some common place here, right? So we should really reach out to Hollywood and find somebody and say, what the hell is going on in Hollywood?
I'm not gonna lie, I stopped caring after the Footloose reboot.
Oh damn!
Like, to me, that's
a long time ago.
I was.
You just gave up in the 80s, huh?
Like the terror. That wasn't the the reboot was just 3 years ago. I'm like, the terrorists might be right.
But I heard on one of your shows, your last show, something you're talking about the Knight Rider reboot. I didn't
they're
hear
doing
anything.
a Knight Rider. They're doing.
Are they?
What they did the Chips movie.
Yeah, some
Chips.
things
Okay, Chips was
kind of.
You know what? Chip. I actually like Chip. You like Chips?
I did. And the reboot was actually.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, really?
And you know what?
Conan, come on, Conan with Khal Drago. No, don't. Unless, see, here's my thing with reboots, retakes. You know who nailed it? Mad Max. You know why? Because he came flat out and said, this is not a reboot. This is a continuation. This is this world 30 years from now.
It's Blade Runner.
Correct, right. You make Blade Runner 2049. Don't do the reboot of the original, like RoboCop. You, right here, right up your anus deep. You suck for ruining what an amazing movie that was. Judge Dredd did it right because it seemed like a continuation, right? So if you're going to do it, I don't care if you continue. Just enough with the Incredible Hulk. Every 4 years there's a new Hulk.
God.
Every Spider-Man, every 4 years there's a new, now it's a CFO from Facebook. No, now it's a little kid. It's like, enough, I get it.
Yeah, that's horrible. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody know what happened with the RoboCop statue that was supposed to go up?
We've actually talked about that a number of times, and our buddy Jer from Daily Detroit has talked with them. So apparently it's still in progress.
Right.
They apparently miscalculated the original casting, and so it wound up being what was it? A third
15-foot VTOL.
Yeah, it was it was a third to 2/3 bigger than it was originally supposed to be when the lower half of the body was done.
How is it? Is it how it's not at Michigan Trumbull at the new PAL Stadium? It's a travesty if it's not there.
It should be right next to the.
If Milwaukee has a bronze Fonz on the
bronzy,
riverfront.
Are you serious?
What? Yes, I took a selfie with.
They have a bronzy.
Ridiculous.
So it's going to be like
who makes a bronze
the Rockies statue?
It's a thing.
Okay.
You can look it up on Google Maps.
Which
I Ubered
honestly
there.
broke our heart. So we went to Philly last year for the ECW thing, and we went all the way up the steps, only to find out the statue is at the bottom of the steps.
What statue?
Right.
The Rocky statue.
Is at the bottom of the step?
Yes.
It's
to
not.
the left.
It's not up. It's not up at the top anymore.
What sense does that make?
So, but apparently, apparently they had just moved it back to that location 2 months earlier. It was someplace else for a couple years.
I guess they got 3 or 4 of those statues
because the museum didn't believe.
Okay,
that it was
wait a
really
minute.
in line
Hold
with
on,
what
wait.
the museum wanted to
Time
be.
out.
I'm like, man, who comes here to see the museum versus who comes here to see the Rocky statue?
Wait, time out.
Oh, the bronzy? Yeah.
I'm looking at bronzy here.
That's a bronze Fonz.
It's
If you don't know
bronzy.
what it is, it's Fonzie from Happy Days on the riverfront in Milwaukee.
Okay, wait a minute.
Looks creepy.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so, oh my God. You know what? I quit. I don't even know what to say about that. Really? The Fonzie? You couldn't find anything else more
I'm going to say
iconic.
I like you, but I'm going to say 2 things. Don't say anything about Prince, and don't say anything about Fonzie.
I love Prince. Hold on. First of all, how could you not love the sexiest little black man in heels? Come on now. Come on now. Prince, the sexiest little black man in heels, right? Right?
You gotta say no homo after that.
Right, no homo. No homo. My bad.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah,
Fuck.
it's
Too big of a gap.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's Prince.
I don't know how's it. Prince dies, but Cat Williams gets famous immediately after.
Because he looked like him a little bit.
I'm saying Prince didn't want to do music anymore. He wanted to do comedy.
Right.
He just became Cat Williams.
So I mean, but Prince
It's
is
the John Benet Ramsey is really Katy Perry theory.
Right.
Yeah. But Prince is like, come on, man. It's like, iconic. Like I even like
iconic for sure.
yeah, that was like my introduction into like
Okay, but Fonz was the man.
he was the man.
Like up until
He was.
like he literally
Hold on.
coined the phrase
Can I-
jump the shark.
Can I drop a bomb right now? No. Prince stole everything from Morris Day and the Time. I'll leave now. Bye.
Whoa. Hey, Morris Day and the Time is my people.
Well, no, Bruno Mars has stolen everything from Morris
I
Day
got
at
a
the time, let's be
spanking.
clear.
I'll never forget because of the Fonz. When Roots came on, my very abusive stepfather wanted me to watch Roots. But it was 8 o'clock. Happy Days was on, and I turned the channel. Didn't go over so well.
Oh man.
Did not go over so well.
Hey, you know what? My introduction to Roots was like, I remember being like 8 years old and sitting at home, and like Roots only came on like one like this specific time of year, right?
Why was that?
Right, and it was like kind of like right in between like Thanksgiving and right after Halloween. It's like
That's right. Yeah, like they never put it in Black History Month.
no.
It was I was like,
Yeah.
we'll throw it here.
Exactly. So it was like it was like, you know, it was right in between those holidays. So it's like be afraid of what it could be, but be thankful it ain't that no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
You know, while you've got the whole family together,
Exactly.
How about some good old fashioned slavery and racism?
Exactly. This is where African American history started.
And I'm
like,
the only
right?
black in
like,
the whole
damn.
school.
Right. Like, come on, man.
Not
Like,
a good day.
black folks' history didn't start there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, but when you see it, when I'm
I
sitting
don't know.
there,
According to a lot of textbooks, it did.
Well, according to only the winners write the textbooks anyway. So, like, I mean, I'm afraid for the next 50 years what Donald Trump is going to have in the textbooks. This is going to be interesting.
Well, I was just reading the other day. Like Elon Musk has to check like African American because he's South African, right?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's like he checked it, and like I guess somebody did that once. And like, oh no, you can't check that. Well, why can't you just put like
But-
what you? But I am.
But I am.
Right, you are. You're African American. That is sweet. I didn't know a white man check African American.
Charlize Theron, yeah. No, Google that. That was a thing. Like someone got in trouble for it, but then they got deep into it, saying, "Well, hell, Charlize Theron is
He's African?
She's South African. There's a whole like you know."
Man, hey, that is a.
Dun dun dun.
That was great. Like
I'm reading an article on Diversity Inc. about it.
Right. I want to like I gotta get a picture of that, like that check mark, like African American. Like that's Elon Musk. That's the guy that created the Tesla car. Like that's it's a white dude that takes African American. Just want to let you know that. Like, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when is this podcast going to start?
So we're gonna launch in October.
October.
So it's gonna be. We decided Wednesday or Thursday. Thursdays. October. First couple shows are gonna be pre-recorded.
Cool.
And then after that, we'll go live.
That sounds great. I would love to be a guest on that episode.
Absolutely.
You're more than welcome to be a guest on that episode. You're more than welcome. It's gonna be fun.
We'll see if he's still willing to come up here after next weekend.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. First of all, I'm coming down to that conference, right? And I'm definitely coming to the party. Okay, I'm bringing a loudspeaker, and I will announce where the party is. Just let me know where it's going to be at. All right.
I got DJ PA. You're gonna have to go over my stuff. So.
Can I MC the party?
Hell no! If I got the microphone, I'm doing it.
Oh, man. Can I just say some like every now and then?
I'll hand it to you every now and then. Yeah.
All right, cool. Cool.
You know what we forgot to talk about?
What?
The Detroit School of Digital
Technology. Oh, we were talking about that though.
That's where we started.
I know, but
I'm lost.
We went Marvel, and then we went podcast. And
Well, I
then
think we covered all of DSDT.
no, but like what classes? What can you take? What's it, what are you taking there? What,
just a whole bunch.
What's the curriculum?
They've got all their stuff out online. It's what DSDT.tech.
DSDT.tech. That's the website. Go ahead and check us out. We are nationally accredited. And you actually won't be spending your money and not be able to move those credits around. You'll actually be able to move those credits around and actually be working towards something. We work for everything from front end and back end coding all the way up to motion picture production. So, I mean, anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of equipment in that building.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew my mind walking around in there.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, like from our perspective, so, like I said, I mean, it's, we're bringing the Career Academy thing down there with MEDC and all the curriculum there. Like for the A+ classes that go on, having a, conversation there about, it's very hands-on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just the theory. It's,
right.
Nope, we have like 20 computers, and the guy goes in and he breaks something different in each one of the 20 for the classes and figure it out.
Exactly.
That's how it's, I mean, that's practical knowledge and application.
And I think one of the things that I liked the most about DSDT was just their willingness to partner with other companies and as a matter of fact, a cool story is you guys are going to be on the panel for Detroit Startup Week.
Yep. Right.
And we had one of our weekly meetings. And by the way, I do a lot of the social media management and marketing and branding for DSDT now. And one of the things that came up was, why don't we connect with the IT and the D guys? Like, they have, a nice buzz, and I love what they're about. And so, of course,
a nice buzz.
Yeah, you do have a nice buzz.
Yeah, exactly. A great buzz.
It's that pod on bowling night.
Something's working. And
speaking my language,
we said, Tori, you should go, see if you can have a conversation. And I think that's kind of how this whole thing came about. And I think just that willingness Jamie has to partner with other brands and businesses and things, that just really gives the students the opportunity to get hands-on training. And
and that's the other nice part about us having a studio there is, we've already had the conversations about, there's a radio and broadcast program there.
Exactly.
Why not teach them next gen? Why not start teaching them podcasting and give them a studio to play with and let them learn how to run boards and software and that kind of stuff? Because we have, it's no offense to Specs, it is what it is. A lot of the classes they deal in dated equipment, and so why not let them play with a current board and current software and just a different a setup designed for podcasting as opposed to something that's is where it is right now.
Like another, to speak to the meaning of how we got together, like we talked about that a little bit while we were outside on break, and it was like, it would have been a lot easier for me to like just pick up my Facebook and like ask any one of my friends, like, hey, Dave? And they'd have been like, yeah, I know Dave. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to talk to him? Like, yeah, I'm here right now, but it was cool because it was like 1,000 people asking questions about podcasting, and we were in there. And I just like walked right up to him. I said, "Hey, Dave, I'm from Detroit School of Digital Technology. I've been looking for you. I want you to come to our school."
And he didn't have a summons or a subpoena, which was nice.
No, not yet. No. And I mean, like it was like I think that a lot of schools kind of pigeonhole students, right? Because you don't have you don't get a good outlook of what the game is all about when you start talking about entertainment and what's all involved in that, right? Like, you got guys in here doing social media on air, like live while we're doing this, like, and I don't think that most students in school who are doing stuff like this know that they kind of pick that up afterwards, but it's like, you don't know there's a guy that's sitting here that does that. Right. That's his job.
I mean, just the education model, I think, overall, having someone that's willing to kind of push the envelope on what is okay and what's not. And I think Jamie, I mean, she's done tons of research on just the schools that's kind of pushing the envelope in different countries, and a lot of her inspiration for some of the design of the school and things like that came from like Europe and Toronto Film School, and just having that willingness to say, you know what, like, let's not do it how everybody else does it.
Right.
Like let's play in the lines, but let's do things that
sounds familiar.
People actually appreciate, and actually be able to benefit from moving forward into the real.
Right. And I mean, like, even to speak to that, I mean, it's a perfect match for Podcast Detroit, because like, that's what you guys are all about. Like, pushing the envelope. I mean, you're going to make mistakes, and you make those mistakes, it makes you better.
Yep.
Right. And I'm one of those guys.
Okay, not that again.
Right. But I'm like one of those guys where I'm going to push the envelope every time. I'm going to push it until, we pop that bad boy open. But it's like when me and Rob were talking about, well, let's do this podcast, let's do this radio show, where we're going to do it at, and it was like, Podcast Detroit, that's the only option, man. Like, if I want to do something new, something different, something that's great, like, you guys are the only people that I've talked to about doing a show, and they're like, well, we got a show like that, or we got a show like this. You guys are like, you know what? Yeah, it's a show like that, but it's not your voice.
That's the whole point.
It's not your viewpoint, right? So when you hit me with that, I'm like, oh yeah. Rob, we about to go in here and tear shit up. It's about to be good. And then we came into the studio like, you want a shot? I'm like, oh, man. Can we have this in our studio? Right, like, welcome home. Like, so, I mean, I think what you guys are doing here is super, like, innovative. And like I'm an innovative person, I'm a push the envelope type of person, and you guys will see that in our podcast, like when we have with our guests and the conversations that we have, and even if you're watching on YouTube and you get a chance to look at some of the stuff we do in the studio, like I have no turn down, like I'm willing to go for whatever. Okay.
Which is why I'm partnering with him, because I don't have to say anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but no, I'm like Rob is the informational portion. Like he knows, like he knows what he knows.
He's got a real funky concept.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying. Like he knows the people. He knows
what I know.
Yeah, like he knows. Like he has good information. Like he's gonna get you informed, right? I'm just gonna make you laugh. Probably make you want to smoke a joint. I don't know what might happen. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like I said, I'm gonna push the envelope. So we're like that.
As long as you have a prescription. We got a disclaimer.
Right.
Well, they're already closing all those down tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you hear that?
No.
Basically, they're arguing about whether or not dispensaries are actually legal based on the way the law is written.
Oh, boy.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No. Why?
It's tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
What's
issues.
Okay? What's the big deal with that, dog? Like I don't.
All right, well, hey, let's talk drugs and more. Coming back, talking about Burning Man in segment
Do I
4.
do Burning Man this week or next week?
Let's go and do it now while it's fresh in my mind.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be coming back with Neri talking all things Burning Man. This is the IT and the D show.
And we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hey guys, it's Ty Mogg, Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. You're listening to the IT&D show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back, segment 4, episode 213. This is the IT and the D show, broadcasting live here in Podcast Detroit, beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob, the sales guy, hanging out with Dave the Geek, Neri the FNG, Randy, I do the Twitter's Walker. Find us online, ITinthed.com.
Yeah, and once again, don't forget, so Saturday we're going to be at Monroe Comic Con. Wednesday we're going to be at Secure World. Next Saturday we'll be at the National Podcast Power Conference down in Ohio. And the 21st we'll be at Falling Down Beer Company. Rah.
So we were having dinner, and Neri comes back from Burning Man, and we're like, is it like
looking emaciated and red-eyed,
right? And like
10 pounds lighter, actually, believe it or not. Yep,
and the reason I wanted to do this was I don't think people get or know what it is. Like all it's like you're in the middle of the desert and there's some 100-foot like stick man, they light on fire, and it's a bunch of hippies with drums. But it's not.
I didn't see that many drums. I saw tons of hippies though.
Is it a concert or like?
It is at its very nature an art festival, more or less, right? So people from all around the world come to this place and they build a temporary community, and they bring art, and the art is insane. Like the thing that was probably the most impactful for me was there was a giant LED tree, massive tree, and on that tree there were 14,000 leaves, and each of those leaves had 7 LEDs in it. Do the math, that's like 108,000 LEDs in this tree. That they had custom software built that they can control it, spin the tree in 3D axis, control the lights, the colors, the patterns, and the thing cost $800,000 to build.
Just to make a bunch of hippies on acid go, whoa.
That's one way to look at it, sure.
They built a $800,000 glowing tree?
Yep. That's just one example of many.
But then what happens to that tree after? Like, where's that tree now?
It's going on a tour.
It goes on a tour.
Yeah, that one's going on a tour. Some things they bring out there just to burn. Like they build beautiful pieces of art, like the man and the temple. Those things are beautiful wooden structures that they burn, and it's kind of like this is the temporal nature of things, Well, you build something gorgeous and then you set it on fire, and that's kind of like. I was involved with one at our regional version of the Burning Man event. And I was a part of the project, and I had so much pride in this project. And to watch it burn, I sat there and I wanted to laugh and I wanted to cry at the same time. It's a really weird feeling watching something you've spent so much time on just on fire.
But it's 70,000 people.
70,000 people, yeah.
It's
on the middle of the desert. And the thing that makes it even harder is that there's no vendor row. There's no food trucks. There's no water sold.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like, to me, like, eat, sleep, poop logistics sound like a nightmare.
You know, we actually haven't gotten into that in a long, long time. Bob's main question for almost every story that we had for the longest time was, how do you poop?
No, like the cosplayers, I don't get it. Like, you read Hawkman, you got these 12-foot wings.
Well,
like, what happens if you got to poop?
The Mars One expedition. Where do I poop?
Right. It's true.
So logistics are hard, right? So you have to take everything you need to survive out there for as long as you're going to be there. I got in on a Sunday morning, and I stayed there through a Monday afternoon. So in there you have to bring...
So 8 days.
8 days, yep. So you have to bring 1.5 gallons of water for you each day. That's what they suggest you bring. You have to bring food. You have to bring a shade structure. You have to bring clothes. You know, all your medicines, basically everything you need to live, you have to be out there with you. Now, we went with a theme camp, and theme camps are basically organized groups of folks at Pool Resources, and there were theme camp dues, and they brought this gigantic tank of water. Right, so they handled all the water, right, which made it easier. But you can't just dispose of your water when you're done with it. So if you wash yourself, that water is no longer like clean. You can't just throw it onto the desert floor. You have to do something with your gray water. You have to evaporate it off and then take the sludge, like food pieces. Basically, the entire thing is
right, that's too much. Wow.
It's leave no trace to like a level that I've never seen before. Like after we were done packing up, I took a rake and I raked our gigantic lot, basically trying to remove any pieces of trash or things that were dropped by folks, because people spend weeks trying to get the desert back into its place after we've been there, and they actually grade you on how well your theme camp did on taking trash
Why
out.
don't you guys just go to like Vegas or something? That's totally my dipshit question.
Exactly. You can leave shit all over Vegas. You don't even have to worry about it.
Cons aren't good at that.
No, I'm just being funny, nerds. I mean, at the end of the day, is this thing like... I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around like I guess everyone that comes back is like saying they're like changed or they're like completely mind blown.
Yeah, there's a range of people who come back from it. They're like, you know, there are people who go and they just party their ass off for an entire week. Right? They're comfortable. They take a bunch of drugs. They dance around the desert naked and sweet. I had a great time. Right? If you look at it
in the 116-degree heat,
that's
one of be the way you want to be, huh?
Well, even that doesn't help, right?
Right, right.
One of my friends said that it was 116 on the thermometer outside of her camper this year. The official recorded temperatures, I think, were 103, and someone told me it set a record for the hottest Burning Man ever. It was nuts.
Oh, but it's a dry heat. Yeah. So is an oven.
Right. I mean, where's Burning Man to take place?
It's 2 hours north of Reno in a little town called just past Gerlach, Nevada, and it's on a kind of it's a seasonal lake. Mm-hmm. So every year the rain drains down, and it sits on a pool, and then it goes away, and it's left with this flat bed.
Right.
Now this lake bed is completely it's like an alkaline substance. It's a base. Mm-hmm. It's like sodium bicarbonate. It's like baking soda, right? So it's a very fine dust that gets into everything.
Okay.
Dust storms happen. If you walk around barefoot for too long, your feet get a condition called pliafoot because it's so basic, it basically begins to change the chemistry of your foot. So every night before bed, you're supposed to take vinegar and spray your feet down with, or like a lime or something to counteract. Yes, everything out there is trying to kill you.
So, and they're worried about you dropping gray water on the floor, like
part of leave no trace.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but those things kind of make the experience what it is too, right? Like all.
But like, why can't there be like a pretzel vendor or something? I'm just like, I'm not being funny.
So Burning Man is founded on 10 principles.
Honestly, I'm not being funny. I'm
legitimately answering too. So Burning Man is founded on 10 principles, and those 10 principles: radical inclusion, radical self-reliance, decommodification, gifting, communal effort, leave no trace. I'm probably forgetting a couple of them. Radical self-expression. Right, so there are 10 principles that kind of govern Burning Man. It's a philosophy. It's not just kind of like, I'm going out to a festival at Coachella, bro. It's so much more than that. And people actually live those things. And one of them is, I mean, you're creating a temporary society of kind of how you wish the world could be. So there's no commerce. There's absolutely nothing sold there except for ice and coffee. Those are the two things that the org has decided that, like, you need ice to keep your food cold. You cannot actually keep things cold by yourself for 8 days. Unless you have really complex dry ice, multi-stage kind of stuff. Right. Or generators for your freezers or things like that, right? So they sell ice, they sell coffee, but otherwise not everything's gifted.
Do they sell weed?
No, no one sells weed.
Okay. They give it away?
But you'll walk up to somebody and they may have a joint and they'll be like, hey, smoke this weed.
I love it.
Or here, try this. Or here, try that. Or like, here, have a drink. Or come into my camp and have some food. People gift food. Like, I walked up to this thing that
Why
was
isn't the world like that?
It was a giant to-go box, like one of those Chinese takeout boxes. Like the white one's little handle. And it had 2 chopsticks sticking out of it and the flaming. And there was a little door on it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Somebody pops out with dumplings.
What?
Somebody served dumplings in the middle of the desert, right? Like
for free or like
yeah, everything is for free. There's nothing, and it's gifting without expecting something back in return.
Wow,
it's incredible. It's pure. It's beautiful. It's delightful.
I think that's the best part of it I've heard. Like to give somebody something and not expect something in return. Like everything you do, no matter what you do, it's like it's always you're expecting a return on that, right? And like to be involved in something like that. I mean, but the 10 principles are the 10 principles that embody being a hippie, though. Like, right?
Well, you could
Well, how do they
make you a
keep
better
it?
human?
How do they keep it from turning into a Coachella? Like who owns it? Is it like a?
It is a corporation who owns it.
Who owned the Burning Man?
I'm just thinking, hey, Miller Lite comes rolling with $10 million, and then all of a sudden it's Burning Man sponsored by Miller Lite.
Yeah.
I think that would revolt the community. And the community is self-policing on their values. Like people really,
it's like open source software.
No, they're really into this and they really believe in it and they really live it. Right.
So how does that work, though?
So if I was walking around and if I pulled up with a budget truck, I'm supposed to kind of deface the logo of budget to make it say something else, like budget, or like if you change it. So basically, there shouldn't be any logos out there. Like if I'm walking around with a giant polo shirt on, with like a giant polo guy, everyone's going to give me shit about it. Because the community is policing itself on things like that, trying to. I mean, if you don't actively take care of that kind of culture, it will be appropriated and it will be sold and it will be destroyed. Right? So, it takes a lot of effort from the people who go to it to kind of keep those things going.
So, who's the police of this? Like,
there are no police there. Well, actually, no. There's a shit ton of police.
Real police,
like real police. So there's like multiple police authorities. There's the Washoe County, which is the one that the county that the event is in, and then there's the Bureau of Land Management, which are the federales, the BLM.
So, and none of these people say anything about all the drugs.
Oh no, they do. They dress up like attendees. Like you could be talking to some girl and like a tutu and like LED light ups and wearing a unicorn hat.
Right.
And you offer something to her that's illegal and she puts handcuffs on you.
Wow. Nobody polices that shit?
No police police that shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That sucks.
No,
That's a setup.
So why would you offer anything to anyone?
Why would you offer anything to anyone illegal? Right. Yeah. Laws still exist out there.
Okay.
They're not going to arrest you for like, here, have a dumpling. It's like, oh, you're under arrest. You have a permit for that dumpling.
So is there power brought in? Like I'm thinking, like is there DJs? Like
oh yeah, power and DJs. You have to bring in generators though, right? So there's no like you are literally on the middle of a lake bed in the middle of nowhere. There is no power. So everything you bring in has to be done with generators, and there are like. I walked out for the first time, never seeing this before, and only seeing the regional network. And I walked out to the Esplanade, and the Esplanade's the big circle that kind of goes around at the very edge before the man, right? And you can see everything in every direction. And it's 2 miles across from inner point to inner point, and it's 7 miles around. If you walk from one theme camp at one corner to the other theme camp on the other around the longest loop, it is 7 miles.
In the desert.
In the desert. So that's the scale of it, right? So I walk out and it's pitch
walking
black.
on stuff that'll eat your feet.
Yeah, exactly. It's pitch black in every direction, right? And so I'm looking out and my mind is blown. The scale, the lights, the sound, the dust, the people. Like you see bikes just like crisscrossing in the sea of blackness, which is the deep playa, which there's no lights out there, right? So it is the most amazing sensory experience I think I've ever experienced visually.
So slow roll would make a lot of sense out there then.
No. Yeah, just put slow roll there and point them in one direction.
They've commercialized.
Right.
Commercialized.
Well, there's no red lights out there, so they'd be great.
Yeah. They also don't have to like stop for traffic or anything. Yeah, you're right.
So they got to stop for selfie every well, you got no cell coverage, so you can't post it to Facebook.
Right. Well, they'll still take the selfies. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep riding with the picture with the camera up. Like riding with it pointing behind them or whatever. But
I kept like putting myself into like perspective every time I went to somewhere. Like I walked into an Irish bar. There was an Irish bar. It was like a shipping container or something converted into an Irish bar with like Irish stuff on the wall and flags and posters. And were they playing like football games maybe? Like it was the craziest thing. There was an older Irish dude sitting out front checking IDs. And I walk in, I'm like, I just went to a Irish bar in the middle of the desert. Like,
in Nevada.
I kept saying that. Like, I just got served dumplings out of a Chinese to-go box that had chopsticks that shot flames
Right.
out of it. Or I just saw a Pac-Man ghost go driving by. Like, that's the other thing of things. Like, there's mobile art, the art cars, which are absolutely incredible. Like, I saw.
Like, can you bring a golf cart?
I guess you probably could. You should probably decorate it to make it fit in with things. But like, there was a 2-story Indian kind of palace, like with spires and like multiple colors and stuff, and it was driving around. And pirate ships driving around. Like this,
I saw photos, yeah.
This Pac-Man ghost is the one that blew my mind because I don't know how they lit it. Because LED lights usually see like the individual LEDs in there. It's like lucite or something. But the entire thing glowed like an amazing, like, and it would change colors. Like, it was the blue Pac-Man ghost and it was the red Pac-Man ghost.
Nice.
And it just kind of drove around with a sound system on it. Like, I've got a buddy here in Michigan who drives a gigantic scrubbing bubble. Like, from the, We Party Hard So You Don't Have To is their
That's
logo.
amazing.
It's freaking super cool. Like, and that's, you'll see those things go flying by, and all of a sudden you'll hear music, and the music will get closer and closer, and the music will, like, oh, cool, that's a gigantic flaming flamingo that just drove by with 100 people on top of it. I mean, it's really crazy.
So, and it happens once a year.
Once a year, yeah. That was over, like I said, the last holiday weekend. Yeah. It's probably, I could probably only do it once a year, right? I don't know if, like, I think about going back, and it was probably the hardest experience of my entire life with, I mean, Burning Man is, I'm going to go ahead and use my one beep that I get per quarter. Burning Man is hell on relationships. It is, I mean, you take all those environment details, right? You got the heat, you've got the maybe only eating one meal a day. Like, I was only eating one meal a day because, like, you don't have an appetite when it's that hot, and every step you make makes you want to get closer to the ground and die because it's so hot.
Wow.
So, like, a dumb question: how do you get there?
Hold on, I'll get there. Let me finish my relationship choice.
So, like, all these big parking lot, like a soccer tournament. I know that.
Yep. So all these things pushing on your relationship, and then you've got the most beautiful people in the world walking around in scantily clothed outfits, and then you've got various substances that may have you in your may not. Right. You may not be in the right place in your mind, right? So you've got all these things pushing on your relationship, and people who are naturally open and, into new experiences and things like that. Like, all those things pushing on your relationship from outside can do really weird things. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, yeah, that was probably one of the hardest weeks for me, and like, I had so many feels. Like, I thought about my darkest like issues and my most insecure things. Like, all that shit came flying back at me and left me to deal with it on top of the things I was having with my relationship.
Right.
And it was just, man, it was a hard week. I'm not going to say it was a bad week, but man, it was a hard week too.
No TV?
No air conditioned shit houses.
Oh my!
Oh, speaking of shit
where do you
houses,
poop?
that's an interesting one, right? So there's an
I need
article
to know.
on
I saw you shared that
on USA Today that there are 1,700 porta potties that come to Burning Man, and they are cleaned regularly. So they're really not in bad shape. Most of them always have toilet paper. You're supposed to bring your own toilet paper just in case they don't. But there was a sign in one of them. If you don't take your moop, we'll kill this dog. From National. So moop is a word, matter out of place. That's what burners used to talk about. If you throw a cigarette butt in the ground, that's now moop, right? That's not supposed to be there. That's matter out of place. So this very picture that was in the article came from a porta potty that was next to my camp. Because there's graffiti on the porta potty, and I'm like, oh, that was the poster that I saw every week when I was taking a poo. I only took 3 while I was out there. That's the poo report. 3 grumpies from Nuri for all week.
Oh my God.
But when you're only eating 1 meal a day, think about it, right?
Right.
Like, and it's so hot, you're sweating out most of your liquids too. So like, you don't pee as much as you think you would either. But so next question, how do you get there? So people fly into Reno.
Right.
Or they come from San Francisco. They run a bus service called the Burner Express Bus, which is amazing because, number one, it removes the amount of traffic on the road, right? So if you're busing people in on these giant buses, you're saving the amount of cars on the road. You're saving the line time. A lot of people drive from across country.
I was like, yeah, but how do you travel with 8 days worth of stuff on a bus?
On a bus.
Well, you come with a theme camp. Like, our theme camp actually left Michigan driving a big 26-foot box truck. Drove that to Burning Man. Took 30 hours, I think they said, to get there.
What was your theme?
My theme camp it's called Syncytium. It's out of Ann Arbor. A good group of folks, established burners, the water, that stuff helps. We all did 1 meal a night, which was really great. Like, so I was in charge of doing 1 meal's worth of cooking for 40 people, and then everyone else had their own. One guy in our camp had a private plane, flew to Reno on Saturday night, picked up 100 pizzas from Domino's Pizza, brought them back. I'm like, we just had pizza delivered on the playa, and I'm like, I feel like such an asshole right now.
That's hilarious.
And then watching like the giant wagon full of pizzas being pulled through the desert, and like the trail of hippies that are like, oh, whoa, can I get one of those? Like it was like zombies. It was great.
Yeah, it's all about conservation. So let me take my private jet to go get pizza.
It wasn't a jet. It was a propeller plane, but still,
Don't care. Private jet.
Tony Stark status right there.
It's pretty badass.
I'm going to get pizza. I'll be back.
So you get there. I mean, there's only a 2-lane road that goes to Gerlach, and it's very long. A lot of people. It takes 2 hours to drive with no traffic. I think a lot of people take 4 or 6 hours because of how congested it gets.
Right.
The bus was amazing. The bus was so good. And like I had 2 checked bags in the carry-on, so they took all my stuff out there, and then the bus took my bins because I had all the rest of my stuff in bins, like my bicycle, which is a requirement if you're going to go out there to do it right. Otherwise, you're walking everywhere, and then everything else I needed. But there's people park. The gate entry usually takes a couple hours to get through because they check your ID and make sure you have your ticket and things like that. And it's just
What do tickets cost?
Tickets $4.25 was how much a ticket cost this year. For regular admission, they also had higher tiers for people who wanted to donate more for art and things like that. So, yeah. They also offer low income. I think low income tickets were $195 maybe. It's an expensive proposition to go to Burning Man. Like I probably spent $2,500 to get out there. Like when everything all considered, basically.
To go sit in the desert for 8 days. Nuri, you are a unique individual. That's why I like having you around.
Yeah. Cool, man.
But because people would have to pay me to sit in the desert for 8 days.
And if someone was paying me for it, it'd be more than $2,500. Right. Yeah.
But I paid about $50,000 to go sit in the desert for like 6 years at Arizona State.
Go Sun Devils.
Yeah, but you had cheerleaders.
Yeah, and I had cheerleaders. Yeah, I did have cheerleaders. Football team, everything.
Go Sun Devils. But anyway, it was a great experience. It was super freaking hard. I'll go next year. But it was hard.
Interesting.
It was hard.
I am curious.
Yeah, and very different than the regionals that I did. There's nothing that you can do to prepare yourself for that. Like even the regional networks give you a taste of the culture. They give you a taste of like the art and like what an experience like that's like. But then the elements and the scale are just so different at Burning Man. That's just it'll blow your freaking mind. It will. So
very cool.
Yeah, totally.
I appreciate definitely appreciate the story. We're going to wrap things up here for episode 213. I'd like to thank our guests, Daryl McCullough from the National Podcast Power Conference, also Robert and Turian from the Detroit School of Digital Technology. Also like to thank Bluehost for sponsoring the show. Thank you for keeping the lights on. On behalf of Bob and Dave and Nuri and Randy, do us all a favor, drink your drinks, get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. Drive careful. See you next week. Beat it.
Emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Long live Flash! You've saved your life. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy. Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. It's game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Ruth.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
To own the truth.
Fear me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would Buick put their cars next to the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing. The alphabet. It's brilliant. Yeah, I can't take that position. That analogy sucks because it's right. Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up. Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just like doing like stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city. I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.